Do not buy a Steelcase Leap unless you watch this video first. There may not be a bigger Leap chair fan on the planet than me. I use it at work, I use it at home, in the conference room, for streams. Every chance that I get to use it, I use it. But I'm willing to acknowledge the fact that it's not perfect, even for me. Here are 5 things I think you need to consider before buying that Leap chair. The first is that the Leap is designed to have a thin, firm seat pad. This is standard on high-end ergonomic chairs and is actually a requirement to check all the boxes for being ergonomic. The reason for this is that a thick padded seat can increase temperature, reduce blood flow, and put more stress on areas like the lower back. For me, the Leap has a really comfortable seat, but I didn't feel that way at first. I was coming off about 10 years in a thick padded seat from the Nightingale CXO, so switching to the Leap was a bit of a shock to my system. For the first couple weeks, I was sore and did not enjoy sitting in the chair, but another couple weeks is all it took for my body to adjust, and I've not looked back since. This could be a problem for some people though. If you've never used a true ergonomic seat, you may be expecting something a lot plusher and cushier. Those chairs trade out long-term health for short-term comfort. The Leap is designed for long-term health, and if you get through the first few weeks, you'll also have that short-term comfort. If you like the Leap but want something a bit softer, you can find seat pads that are a little thicker on the refurbished market. For a slight upcharge, we do offer thicker seat pads that match the shape of the original pad to help people that love the Leap but just need that extra thickness on our refurbished chairs from btod.com. If you don't like the pick and you want some more options, check out our office chair cheat sheet in the description where we have our full ranking of chairs on their comfort. The Leap, while on the outside not the most unique looking chair, has a lot going on to give it so much adjustability, flexibility, and durability. There are a ton of moving parts, different metals and plastics being used, and designs specific to the Leap. It's a complicated chair, just like the other chairs in the high-end ergonomic chair market. One of the biggest downsides of introducing moving parts is that there's the potential for noise or sounds to come from the chair. The more adjustable and more advanced the chair is, the higher the chances it will make sounds. I think one of the most common misconceptions about high-end chairs is that they should be silent because they're so expensive. It's simply impossible. If we think about our cars, they're far more expensive than a Leap chair, and they make noises from everywhere, especially the moving components. The same goes for the Leap. Now, this does not mean that chairs should be making popping, cracking, and screeching noises, but having some minor sounds is common. If you want a silent or a more quiet chair, then I would look towards executive style chairs because they still offer nice comfort, but they do not have the flexible designs and advanced adjustment packages that often introduce those sounds. One of the biggest misconceptions about the Leap is that it's a big and tall chair, and that's because Steelcase has a ridiculous 400-pound weight rating for the chair. This is a huge flex and a way for Steelcase to point to their weight rating when being directly compared against other top brands like Herman Miller and Hayworth. They over-engineer their chairs, and it truly is capable of holding that weight, which is the ridiculous part. The problem is that the dimensions of the chair simply will not fit someone that weighs 400 pounds. No matter what your body shape is, a 400-pound person cannot fit in this chair comfortably. The seat and arms are not going to be wide enough for almost everyone at that weight, and people that are slim enough to fit inside the seat and arms are going to be too tall. The truth is that the chair has a tough time fitting people around 300 pounds. The seat and back are large, but not as large as your typical big and tall chairs. For example, the Leap seat is 19.25 inches wide as compared to a big and tall chair that will be somewhere between 22 and 26 inches wide. We do not sell new Leap chairs at BTOD, but we've sold thousands of refurbished and used models, and what we've found through our testing and customer feedback is that the sweet spot is about 260 pounds or less to fit comfortably in the Leap. Anything more than that will be a dice roll based on your body shape, height, etc. One could make the argument that I'm the biggest Leap fanboy on the planet. That's no secret, and I'm not ashamed. But one thing I've been a hater of since the first time I used it was the headrest, especially because it's between $150 and $200. For starters, it just does not match the quality of the rest of the chair. The plastic feels cheap and there's hardly any foam. It only has one adjustment and it's pushed aggressively forward. Because you can only adjust the height, you can only use it one way, I'm not a big fan. And the final deal breaker for me is that it's just not very comfortable. Personally, I don't think the Leap is a chair that should have a headrest, but customers asked for it, and that's why it was added as an option after the fact by Steelcase. But it simply does not work with the ultra-flexible, thin plastic backrest design. If you really want a high-end headrest on a Steelcase chair, grab the Gesture. It has one of the best headrests I've ever used, and it seems that Steelcase and maybe customer return rates have indicated that as well, because you can no longer add the headrest when purchasing directly through Steelcase's store. You now need to custom order it through a dealer or reseller to get that option added, which almost certainly means there are no returns because it can be considered a custom-made product. The lumbar on the Leap chair is widely regarded as one of the highlights of the chair. It has a large height adjustment range, and it also has tension adjustment that will increase or decrease the amount of support the lumbar provides. But even on the lowest setting, the lumbar is aggressive. When you adjust the knob, it changes the curve in the lower back, but then there's also a plastic insert that gives the lumbar its height adjustment, but it also makes it more pronounced. For some people, this might be too aggressive, even on the lowest setting. I'm one of those people. I do have an easy fix for this though. Simply remove that lumbar insert. You lose the height adjustment, but the natural curve is amazing and it removes that really pronounced feeling in your lower back and softens up the backrest a bit. Removing it isn't permanent, so you can always put it back in. The Leap chair is not perfect, and there are certainly things that are going to make people look in a different direction, but for me, this is the best chair that I've ever used, and I've tested thousands of them.